Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Sam Allman.
I'm Bernard.
And I'm Trish.
And today we'll be playing the 6th part of Wild Arms V, the Vth Vanguard, and we'll be covering up until we return to Honeysday after completing Mount Chug Chug. But before we get to all of that, how was everyone's week?
Since we last spoke, I finished Super Mario RPG, I played the entirety of Paper Mario, and I started Superstar Saga.
Oh, wow.
All 3 flavors.
Yes. Super Paper Mario, all-time classic masterpiece.
It's very good. I really love it.
Wait, did I say Super Paper Mario?
Yes, you did.
You did.
Super Mario RPG, all-time great classic masterpiece.
That one's good too.
Paper Mario has a few parts that kind of suck, and a lot of it is a little bit bland, but still absolute brilliant.
Yes.
Superstar Saga kind of suck.
I agree. I don't know. It doesn't hit me the way it does a lot of other people.
It kind of rules, but also it kind of suck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Superstar Saga is one of those games. Well, the whole Mario and Luigi is they came up with the idea of what if we make all of our timed input shenanigans that we do in Mario games, what if we made that a whole thing instead of stopping to think if they should. And so the game becomes a lot of get this perfect so that you have to, like, it's almost a rhythm action game and not an RPG. And I don't like that much.
Yeah. I had a job interview on Wednesday. That
Ooh.
was nice. I don't know if I got the job yet. Fingers crossed. It would be nice to have a job so there'd be 2 people with a job in the house and everything wouldn't be on my wife to take care of everything.
Good luck.
I am fingers crossed. In other news, I read a new volume of a manga. I was like really liking it, and it's the new volume that came out recently. Took it from really like it to just absolutely adore it. If you're interested in a queer romance story with adults instead of teenagers, nothing against all the Yuri and Yaoi out there with teenagers. It's nice to have fucking adults for once. Please check out She Loves to Cook, She Loves to Eat. That's the name of the manga. It's, as the name might imply to you, it's also very much about body positivity, body type diversity, about found family, and how if your biological family sucks, hit the bricks. It's got a lot going on to the point where like the romance aspect is a lot more low key, and it more rides on like the characters' personal struggles and the coziness of just cooking and eating together and stuff like that. So if that sounds like your jam, you should absolutely be checking this out, especially because I found out the creator, in addition to being a woman, I'm going to take a wild guess and say a queer woman, considering how much she talks about queer issues in Japan, literally ended the volume with a thing about like talking about discrimination and being like, hey, I'm going to be doing some fundraisers with like merchandise from this, and all the proceeds are going to marriage equality in Japan.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. Very good manga. Could not recommend it more.
I just downloaded it to my Kindle, so I'll let you know.
I eagerly await your thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Similarly to both of the things you've talked about, first off, I recently found a manga called Is Love the Answer? It's by the person that made Mine-kun is an Asexual, and they basically took Mine-kun is an Asexual and expanded it to trade paperback sized manga. Ooh. And it's really, really good, and it speaks to my own personal existence in a way that like nowhere else does, and I loved the crap out of it. It was so good. Parts of it read like, hey, I'm releasing this in Japan, and Japan is pretty behind when it comes to a lot of these things, so I'm going to be explaining it more than it being plot on the page or whatever, but it's still it still rules, and I love it.
That actually, I completely forgot when going over it, but the manga I brought up also has several ace characters in it and talks about asexuality and aromanticism. It also does so in a way that is very like, hey, you might not know what this is. I'm going to explain it real quick. Though I appreciate in that context, it's through the lens of an adult who's doesn't know anything about the queer community, is realizing she's a lesbian and then realizing she's an ace lesbian,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's her being educated by her friend on the subject.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels, it makes sense and has an emotional impact in story besides it just being an explanation dump. But yeah, hell yes, more queer ace manga. I'm very happy to hear that exists.
Yeah, and it's really really good. I really really enjoy it. And similar to the other thing you mentioned, I've officially got my promotion, and I officially got my offer letter, and it's going to be like $1,800 more a month, which
Ooh,
is basically my rent a month. So
amazing.
if we budget the exact same way, my rent just became free, basically, if you think about it that way.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool. I'm very excited to have that, because the housing market in Madison went from redonkulously good when we moved here in 2020 to holy crap, Austin followed me to Madison this year. Everything has just skyrocketed, and it's sucked. When we moved here, we had a 3-bedroom apartment on the ground floor with private off street parking, and it was $800 a month.
Holy crap.
I now pay $1,500 a month for
That's still a good price.
yeah. It's still a good price, but this one's rent controlled. The $800 wasn't rent controlled, and now I'm $1,500 rent controlled. So I can tell you what regular rents are for everybody else, and that's just over like 3 years. It's insane.
I honestly have started to wonder, is there anywhere in the United States that does have a good housing market at this point? It feels like everywhere is $900 a month studio apartments now. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, from what I can tell, Milwaukee has that because they have pro tenant laws in place, and so they have higher taxes and lower rents, and that's fine because that's how it should be.
Yeah.
And that's the only place. So I've thought about moving to Milwaukee several times.
I'm gonna sound like a real dingus here. Where even is Milwaukee?
An hour north of Chicago in
Oh,
Wisconsin.
okay. Oh, Wisconsin. That's it. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, the other thing that I've been doing over the past 2 weeks, and the actual main reason why we didn't record for Thanksgiving, like spending times with our families is a convenient excuse. But what really happened is I started playing Sea of Stars, and since Thanksgiving morning, so that was Thursday, I have put in, I don't know, 60 hours into a new RPG, and I just haven't been able to stop. In addition, I've done a chapter and a half in Danganronpa 2, so I've just been not playing Wild Arms for a very long time. And,
no, we're playing Wild Arms 5, not Wild Arms 4.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. I if you like well thought out world building and the gameplay of Super Mario RPG, you should check out Sea of Stars. It's really good. So many
if you don't like well thought out world building and you like the gameplay of Super Mario RPG, you should play Super Mario RPG.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga.
But yeah, it's delightful. A lot of the reviews say that the writing is bad, but the writing being good is actually the reason why I stuck to it over Chained Echoes. I kind of started both of them at the exact same time. The writing at the beginning of Chained Echoes, just something about it seemed amateur to me, and Sea of Stars did not feel that way. and so Sea of Stars 1. I'll probably dive directly into Chained Echoes because now I'm on a kick for how we've been trying. The West has been trying to make a good pixel art 16-bit inspired RPG since 2001, and they finally fucking did it last year.
I'll also throw it. I've been someone started doing a blind let's play because he had not played it before of Deltarune, and it made me go, you know what I should pick up again? I'm gonna play Deltarune through again. Maybe twice. I don't know. We'll see. Because I am an addict. Help.
No.
Oh,
I
will
should
not
play
help.
Deltarune.
Deltarune's really good.
I'm excited for it to finish because I've done both 1 and 2 at this point, and I need more.
Yeah, it's just extremely well done game so far.
So speaking of extremely well done games, and this is the pre-segue to segue into Wild Arms 5. So I was looking up something about Wild Arms 4 today because the main character from Wild Arms 4 is one of the cameos this week. And so I was looking it up, and all of the weirdo freaks who still think that Xenogears is the best RPG despite it being literally unfinished and kind of jank, they all agree that Wild Arms 4 is good actually. So maybe it'll be good actually. I'll play it when we're done with this one and I'll let everybody know.
Okay.
But things I will also let people know about is if this week's Wild Arms 5 was any good. So we'll do that shortly after this musical interlude. So when we last left our heroes, they had a very viable lead to follow up on to find out about Johnny Appleseed, and they decided to not follow up on it, and instead just go with Carol to Honeysday. When we arrive in Honeysday, Dean is hungry, so they head to the hometown cafe, the local eatery, to get some grub.
The one thing in town.
Yes. It's only that when they get there, the cafe is completely out of food. In fact, the entire town is completely out of food. The gobs that live in the shrine to the east have been coming and stealing all of their food. Now they don't have enough to eat, and they've been out of food for about 2 days now.
And we all know what gobs are.
Yes.
Yeah. Open mouths.
Yes. The townspeople are comprised entirely of women and children and old people because the men are away working. And remember, this is a euphemism for being contracted into labor camps by the Varuni. So there hasn't been anyone to fend off the gobs when they come stealing. We can't stand for this, so we volunteer to go to the shrine and get their stuff back. Rebecca asks the cafe owner if she knows anything about Johnny Appleseed, and she says that there's a kid who used to live in the shrine that said he would be the next Johnny Appleseed, but he moved away about 10 years ago. We're excited that we have a new lead to follow up on, even if it is 10 years old, because at this point, we have confirmation that it's not just a whine, that Johnny Appleseed is actually a person. Greg points to the flippin' sweet motorcycle that's broken nearby and asks if we can have it. The cafe owner says that the gobs stole the spark plug for some reason, but if we can get the spark plug back, they'll just give us the damn thing. So we head off to the shrine. On the way out, we run into a girl who is crying, and Dean asks her what's wrong, and she says that she doesn't want to talk about it. Rebecca says that sometimes girls want you to comfort them, but other times they want to be left alone, and you have to be able to tell the difference. Dean is like, well, Avril, you cried whenever I first saved you. Which kind was that? And she's like, I don't know. It just kind of happened. And Rebecca writes angrily in her journal about it.
I have a tip for Dean for helping to tell whether a girl wants you to comfort them or leave them alone when they're crying. If the girl is a perfect stranger, probably leave them alone.
Yep.
Yeah, that sounds about right. As a girl, can confirm.
So, we make our way down and around the lake to go east because they give us horrible directions on how to get there, and we eventually reach the shrine where
God, could there not have been a dialogue box that's like, yeah, it's to the east, you have to go down around the mountains, or just something, because, oh my God, because the map doesn't make it clear.
yeah, the map doesn't zoom in enough for you to actually tell what's a pathway or not. It
I
looks
pressed
like
every button trying to zoom in that map because I was
It's-
confused.
It's honestly a fairly useless map.
yeah.
The only thing it's useful in going circling part of the map, here's where you go, but actually anything else besides that, no.
Yeah, it is not good for pathfinding. It is good for, all right, where's my triangle and where's the circle and how am I going in the right direction to make them overlap? And that's about it. So we get to the shrine, and all of the puzzles there involve lighting a goblin on fire so that he runs around screaming in pain and lights a torch. So then he jumps in the water and never comes out. And if you walk by and move your camera to look in the water, he's sitting there motionless on the bottom of the water. Other puzzles involve us freezing them solid in a block of ice, or exploding a barrel next to them to kill them. Or, in my favorite one, you do all three in the same puzzle. We're the bad guys.
There's parts where if you run in front of the goblins, they're like, oh, hey, you're not allowed here. And then you get warped back to the beginning of the room. But
They don't even hurt you.
But you can complete this puzzle by just shooting them. And then they'll be like, I'm mad. We're going to have a battle. And I'm like, what? Why didn't we just have the battle when you saw me the first time?
Yeah. It's ludonarratively dissonant, for real.
Can I make a confession?
Mm-hmm.
Please go ahead.
I did not put together that gob was short for goblin the entire time. I was just like, why are there things called gobs? That's a weird thing. And also, why are there? Also, still, why are there goblins? They're being
It truly doesn't fit any of the world building at all.
They're being sentient beings on in this world other than humans and Varuni is really weird and not an established thing, I don't think.
Oh yeah,
No.
But you see, these are beastmen, so they don't count.
Oh,
all of the racism that the Varuni are doing to humans are doing to gobs.
Okay.
Okay.
That's really what it does feel like. I mean, listen, don't feel too bad. I've had more embarrassing things like that in my life, like missing the thing at the beginning of American Gods. I'm not going to say it out loud because saying it out loud makes it so obvious.
I have not seen it, so I will watch the beginning of it just to
'Twas
laugh
the
at
book. 'Twas the book, not the show.
Okay, then I'll read the beginning of the book just to laugh at you.
Okay, good. Go ahead.
Okay. So when we finally get to gobs that get text boxes instead of just being puzzle switches, they're mad that we're invading their territory and just slaughtering them without even talking first. So we say shut up and we fight them. And
well, we say a lot of nonsense.
That scene goes on so long.
We have a quote unquote funny scene that probably should have been workshopped about 3 or 4 times before committing it to print.
Here's the thing. I don't disagree, but also have you ever been looking at something and gone like, okay, I'm annoyed that this is making me laugh.
Absolutely.
Like and that was this. I was like, I think this is funny, and I hate that. I hate that I find parts of this really funny.
Yeah.
But it is a scene that goes on. It's like one of those SNL sketches where you got the joke in the first minute, and it goes on another 4 minutes.
Yeah, someone had a good joke and not a good sketch, and that's what this is.
Well, I don't know. This scene, it's more like they had 5 halves of different jokes. Whereas in SNL sketch, it's more like they have one full complete joke that they just use over and over.
Are you saying they did a Frankenstein's monster of jokes?
Sort of, yeah, I suppose.
Anywho, so we fight the gobs and we beat them. They're not hard. They're literally just 3 of the random mobs we've been fighting the whole time. The gobs say to just wait until the boss finds us, and because he's going to tear us limb for limb. We continue through the second half of the dungeon, which has cool block puzzles and a lot more gobs to slaughter. And along the way, Avril mentions that she's feeling that rejection feeling again, but not as harsh this time. And they wonder if this is one of those structures that the PowerPoint presentation mentioned. When we meet the boss, he is a
Horrifying
weird,
looking.
a weird little horrifying little man. He's like if
I'm
a
fine with killing this freak.
he's like if a weird like horror artist drew the dancing baby from the 90s.
You're absolutely correct.
He's gross and I hate him, but he's even more annoying to fight because he has the ability lay recovery, which means that his HP returns all the way to full if he starts his turn on a lay point, which is easy enough to block, but you only learn that he has this after it triggers. And if you're like me, he then doesn't move off of a lay point for like several turns, and you can't really do shit, and it sucks. But other than that, he's not too hard. So after the
He
fight,
just never got on a lay point for me. I didn't even know this.
yeah, it was annoying. He moved there like turn 1 and then sat there to like turn 5 or 6. After the fight, we find the food, but also another PowerPoint presentation machine. Avril reads the runes on the side, and it says mediums, those which connect all. And everyone's like, "You can read this?" And she goes, "Yeah, amnesia shit." The party then takes turns using their mediums to share like a video of their memories with each other. Dean shows the giant golem hand. Rebecca shows her acrobatic shooting. Carol shows her and the professor in a ruin. Greg is like, "No, I have a tragic backstory. I don't want to see any of this shit." And then they're like, "Oh wait, we should put Avril's medium on it to see some of her memories. Surely this won't just raise a lot of more questions." She puts it on, and we see the whole party with her and Dean like facing off against each other, having some tense conversation that we can't hear. We just see that they both have serious business faces on. This is not a conversation that's happened before. No one remembers this happening. They also don't recognize the place it takes place.
Also, Chuck is there.
And Chuck is there. Greg says he doesn't even think it's on Filgaia because he's been everywhere blowing up golems and he's never seen a place that looks like this. It's like a weird gray rock with like huge gray misty sky. It looks like it's a fake ass place. They're like, "So Avril, what the fuck is this?" And she's like, "I don't have my memories, dude. I'm even more lost than you are." So now that we have a shitload more questions and even fewer answers than we thought, we pick up the food, and when we do, we find a medium that was down amongst the gob's valuables. Dean thinks that it's probably Johnny Appleseed from 10 years ago, so he puts it in the memory machine. Then we see the flashback of that Varuni that is Volsung, as we find out later. My crackpot theory turns out to just be a crock of shit.
Yeah.
As we knew, but
yeah, as Bernard and I actually knew.
Yeah, I knew it was crackpot. It just was weird that they never named this guy, and they've also never named the captain, and they cut to both of them fairly quickly after it.
I guess I'm too used to games like this having something that's so visually obvious, but they will do like a unnaming the character in the dialogue as if it's a mystery to you, even though it's not in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, it's just very weird that we still haven't named the captain yet. By the way, I wonder what that motherfucker's up to. Meanwhile, the Captain Varuni receives a report that the Baskars have met Johnny Appleseed, and he curses that they didn't secure her because we all know what will happen if the radicals get their hands on her. I mean, I know what it is, and you know what it is. We all know what it is, but you say it first so I can know what you're thinking is what I'm thinking. Go ahead, you say it.
Did anything important actually happen in the medium flashback that we didn't already see?
No, it was
No.
Okay.
the exact same one, and they're like, what the hell happened? And then the medium broke afterwards and wouldn't respond to the machine anymore.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah. So the captain and his crewmen then have some very forced dialogue about how their people ruined Filgaia's environment once, and even if they terraform it, it'll just happen again. So the only solution is to change their ways. So they must get to Johnny Appleseed first. Back in Honeysday, the gang eats
And
some
they
fried
use
noodles.
a pronoun finally for Johnny Appleseed. They say her.
She.
Yes. Yes, it is all but confirmed that Avril is in fact Johnny Appleseed.
The person we least expected.
Literally, the first thing after she says Johnny Appleseed is that your name? And she goes, no. Turns out that was a lie.
Maybe the real Johnny Appleseed were the friends we made along the way.
That's literally what I'm saying. Avril is the friend that we made along the way, and she's Johnny Appleseed. So back in Honeysday, the gang eats some fried noodles, and it's served to them by the girl who was crying earlier. Rebecca asks the cafe owner what her whole deal was, and turns out that this girl was sold to the Varuni, and this is her last day as a free woman. And this happens to basically every kid who comes of age. Once you're old enough to go work, you either go work in the households if you're a woman, or you work in the metal mines at Mount Chug Chug if you're a dude.
And
Dean
it's
is
called Mount Chug Chug.
Yeah, it is. Mount Chug Chug is a recurring thing from old Wild Arms games, but that doesn't mean you have to use it again just because it was in a previous game. Like Death Mountain, that's dope. You can put Death Mountain in every game. Mount Chug Chug, maybe leave that one on the PS1.
You could, and you could even be like the name of the mountain is this. The kids call it Mount Chug Chug or something.
Yeah.
So
No, it's
we
named
have
Mount
the
Chug Chug.
reference. No.
You can keep the reference, just don't make people have to say it in a serious conversation.
You don't have to say, this character died in Mount Chug Chug.
So Dean wants to go help the people at Mount Chug Chug, but the cafe owner is like, no thank you. We don't want to ask for more than we've got, because if we keep our heads down, we won't lose what we already have. Greg says that we, the party, are drifters, capital D, proper noun for the first time in the whole game. And that drifters shouldn't meddle with the affairs of the towns that they visit, because he hasn't played the other 4 games where drifters definitely meddle in the affairs of all of the towns that they visit. Dean says that it's bullshit giving up before even trying. The people here are only afraid of change because they're afraid of the Varuni, but if they're freed from the Varuni control, they'll be happy. Avril is like, if it's that easy, why didn't you free all of the humans from Varuni control in all of the other towns that we've passed through? They then overhear Lucille, the crying waitress girl, yelling at Chuck and storming off. We go to talk to him to see what's up, and he's like, it's fine that Lucille is leaving. Everyone around me disappears. My dad was crushed by a boulder. My mom had tuberculosis. My best friend left town, and all of these things are obviously my fault. Adina's like, cut the excuses, dipshit. You're just making excuses about being cursed so that you don't have to do anything to fix it. Who gives a shit about your fate? Just do something. Chuck is like, you don't get it. I can't change. And Dina's like, you don't have to change. You just have to do one thing. Anyone can do one thing, even you. If Lucille is important to you, go bring her back. Go get her. Resolve yourself to do it. Chuck actually listens, and he runs out the city gate. And we run after them. Excuse me. I misspoke. We hop on the coolest motherfucking chocobo in gaming history. Our motorcycle, the monowheel, is a big-ass wheel that you sit inside of, straddling like a V8 engine that steers with fucking airplane rudders on the back. It is perfect. It is the best vehicle in a game.
However, go ahead.
I like 2 things about it. 1, I like that there's no random battles. 2,
Yes.
I like when you if you run directly into something, you go way in the air.
It's good. We race over to the train station where Truck is confronting Lucille's Varuni escorts. Chuck, yes.
Truck.
Truck Shepherd.
Truck
Yes.
Shepherd.
Truck says, "Let Lucille go," and the escort is like, "You realize what you're saying, huh, kid?" And Truck is like, "You bet I do. I've resolved myself. I've made up my mind." The
And
escort
he's
is
also
like,
he's saying this doing JoJo poses. He's leaning back, curving his spine,
"It's
pointing
that."
his hand
Yes.
out.
The escort is like, "You've resolved yourself, huh? Well, then if you insist, I'll suppose I'll have to grant you your wish." He goes, "It was that easy? You're going to give Lucille back?" He's like, "No, I'm going to kill you." And then we show up to fight the Veruni for him. After the fight, Faradun shows up, the one of Volsung's doofuses. He says that there's no need for a brawl when we could settle this with a duel. Chuck volunteers, and we have an unwinnable boss fight. And Faradun deals 12,422 damage to Chuck, and the fight is over. Faradun is about to finish Chuck off when Lucille steps in the way, begging him to stop. Apparently, Faradun is the Varuni that has purchased Lucille, and he's become fond of her. She only was purchased, like, today. Whatever. So he takes pity on her, and he leaves Chuck alive, takes Lucille, hops on the train, and gets out of there. Chuck throws down his Golem Hunter license and says that since Lucille got taken away because of him, he doesn't deserve to be a hunter, since he just causes trouble wherever he goes. The party says nothing and returns to Honeysday.
This is the second time Chuck has either accidentally or on purpose dropped his hunter's license.
Yes. Back in Honeysday, Carol and Rebecca are like, "Dang, this sucks, and there's nothing we can do about it." And Dean is like, "Hold on. I got something to say to y'all, even if it means the end of our trip together. Back when we left Capo Bronco, I was excited about seeing the outside world. But ever since Mirror Pulse, things have just gotten more and more confusing. Back when Chuck was going to be hung for something he didn't do, that's when things started to feel wrong. Then we met Greg with his whole tragic backstory, and then Lila Bell and Mythismere, and now we're here where all the young people are being taken away, and the villagers just let them go. No one likes it, but no one wants to cause trouble." And Rebecca's like, "Yeah, it sucks, but I mean, we couldn't do anything about it." And Dean says, "No, it's not that we couldn't, it's that we didn't. If we would have tried, we would have been able to change something, but we didn't." Avril says, "What you're considering will require great commitment. If you fail halfway through, things will become worse than they are. You must resolve yourself to see it through to completion." Dean says, "I have resolved myself. I'm going to overcome the wall between the Varuni and humans and do something about this warped society." "But what about Johnny Appleseed?" Avril says, "Dean's resolution here is the shortest path to finding Johnny Appleseed. I think I may have been waiting for this moment." The gang is like, "Okay, cool. Let's go solve colonialism." And off we trot to Mount Chug Chug.
If we find the right people and punch them hard, things will work out.
Mm-hmm.
Is this I'm trying to remember. Is this the scene with the flashback from Greg?
No,
Or is
later.
that's later? Okay,
Yeah.
continue then.
So yeah, we off we go to Mount Chug Chug. Dean says that he knows that people are asking him not to do anything, but he has to see how bad it is for himself, and then he'll decide if he's going to free the slaves or not. And if he does free them, he's not going to just free them and leave. He's going to see whatever happens through to the end. The moment we step into Chug Chug, we see that Nightburn is running the place, and when people get hurt and can't work, they don't call Affleck. They instead are thrown out to be killed and eaten by monsters. We fight the monster to save the dude, and we have a boss fight where he's immune to physical attacks, which is annoying to deal with. But after we defeat it, Dean is like, "Yeah, they're being fed to monsters. I'm gonna free these motherfuckers." Like, no brainer. And then another one of the boss monsters shows up, but instead of us going to a fight, Chuck runs in and kills it for us. There's some more "I'm not good enough" bullshit from him, and we all tell him, "No, we actually do like you. You're not a burden. We really do want to be your friend. And with his help, we can change the world." Avril is like, "It makes sense that you join us, since you're one of the chosen ones after all." Everyone is like, What?
Normal thing to say.
And she's like, "Chuck, your medium isn't original, Knight." He goes, "I don't know. What does that mean?" And no one says, even though we now know what it means. She's like, "All 6 of the original mediums have been united in our party, which must be important." Rebecca's like, "Where did everybody find their mediums?" And weirdly, no one can remember except for Dean, Rebecca, and Avril.
Yeah, it is just very funny that 2 people in the party are literally like, "Truly? No clue. I have no memory of where I found this. It was like, and they do it in a way where they're like, oh, that's not weird. It's like, I don't know, man. I think not remembering where you got the bit of magic technology that lets you cast spells. It's like, you should remember that, man.
Especially now that you've gotten confirmation that like, oh, these are thousands of years old and like connected to an ancient magical society. And you're like, oh, cool. Where did I find this?
Maybe they've had lots of mediums and they've like shuffled them around. Like, I'll take this medium
one
today, and it's like, oh, wait, this one that I brought on this particular adventure is an original. I mean, I don't know. I got most of mine at Target. I'm not sure where I got this one specifically.
Yeah. So, Chuck is then like, anyways, if we change the world, Lucille will be free, and that counts as protecting her, right? So I'll join you and join your cause. And he joins the party for real this time. We are then off to do another minecart dungeon, but this one's more intricate and more fun than the last one. Partway through, the party discusses Nightburn and how he's a piece of shit. And Chuck is like, I have a friend who went to work for Nightburn, and he never returned. And Dean is like, well, you're a golem hunter. Did you ever ask Nightburn about what happened when you saw him? And Chuck says, even golem hunters can't get an audience with him. They then, after discussing how Nightburn literally feeds people to monsters, they waste 9 text boxes contemplating if he's a good guy or a bad guy before Dean says, doesn't matter, I'm gonna punch his lights out.
It's truly a conversation like, this feels like this should have come before the monster eating knowledge.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna throw that out there.
This one I could see maybe working after he laughed like an evil guy when they got their asses kicked on TV, but not here. This is not the place.
Did you ever stop to question if the slaves he feeds to monsters have bad vibes?
Oh, no, I didn't. You're probably right.
Oh, well, if their vibes are rancid, then I guess, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, he's got shifty eyes. What is that even a reference to?
I don't know.
Oh, no. I think it's of audio drama. I think it's the one about dueling funeral parlors. I can't remember what it is. I'll look it up and I'll bring it up in the closing. It's really, really good, but I think that's where it is. It might not be, but either way, people should listen. Anywho, so a short way later into the dungeon, we free some of the slaves, and one of them is Kent, Chuck's oft-mentioned friend who went to work for Nightburn. Kent and the other slaves thank the party for freeing them, and the party's like, all right, we're doing the right thing. The slaves want to be freed. Or do they? Comes in Nightburn's bitch ass. Dean is like, you can't get away with this. You're betraying all of humanity. Nightburn says, nonsense. I'm just... And then cites 4 or 5 things that he's doing to betray humanity. Dean is like, you're crazy. And Nightburn is like, oh, so you've seen through my illusion? What illusion? It's been pretty obvious ever since getting here. That's why people don't leave, is because when you get here, you see that you feed people to monsters. This is not an illusion.
I mean, his illusion... He has this whole public facade, but I feel like we already had that pretty well cracked back at the TV station.
If I went to a factor that Tom Hanks personally oversees, and it turned out he throws every person. I'm too giggly tonight. If he it turned out... Oh no, I can't.
We wrote Trish.
I don't think I can complete my joke without laughing.
We get it. It's fine. Fill in the blank. This is the Mad Libs version of the podcast. Just fill in the rest of Trish's joke. Nightburn is like, good point. So he blows up the mine to kill everybody that we've set free. We're like, what the fuck, dude? And he's like, it doesn't matter. Humans are going to be killed by the TF system anyways. And we're like, what is that? And he goes, I'm not telling you. So Dean is like, you're just a Varuni puppet. Nightburn's like, I don't care. I'm the best Varuni puppet. You people just suck. Y'all wish y'all could be as good of a Varuni puppet as me. And now that you've set these people free, the people of Honeysday will get punished, and it'll be all your fault, and everybody's going to hate you. And Dean is like, I don't care. I started this path. From the river to the sea, humanity will be free. Free Palestine.
Free Palestine.
Nightburn says that he doesn't even consider himself human anymore. He let go of his human side to join the Varuni because they would never let a human join them. Dean is like, well, I'm going to kick your ass and tear down the wall and do it as a human. So we have a boss fight against Nightburn that we actually have to win this time. And we do, eventually. We then have to beat him again, one-on-one, Dean versus Nightburn. And he's a little bit easier since we only have one dude. After the fight, Nightburn is like, I used to be like you. I thought I could get over the wall and prove that humans and Varuni could live together. But this is how I ended up. Can you honestly look at me and tell me you still dream of overcoming that wall? Dean says, no, I'm not going to dream about it. I'm going to do it. And Nightburn is like, okay. He tells Dean that getting over the wall only helps one person, and to save everyone, you need to tear down the wall. And if you're going to do that, I'm going to support you all of the way in a very unearned heel turn. And so here's
I was gonna say
face turn.
It's so unearned. Listen, defeat means friendship is a trope for a reason, and it can work well. But this is like literally 10 seconds after you kicked his ass. He goes from, I want to kill all humans in the world and then die myself so the species is extinct, to, you know what? You're right. Let's do some hero shit.
It was... I didn't find it to be exactly that. I thought it was more, this guy's motivations are so weird and obtuse to us that we're seeing something we didn't expect. And I don't know if I'd even really call it a face turn. I just think it's a weird scene from a weird guy.
That's fair. That's fair. He is a weird man.
But it does feel like his whole thing about how he wants to kill all humans and then himself so there will be no more humans. It still does feel incongruous with this.
Mm-hmm. He gives Dean Nightburn's golem hunting license so that he can ride the trains freely. It has his picture and information on it. So everybody would think it's just a counterfeit, but apparently it works and it's fine that Dean just steals somebody else's license.
Dean's just going to wear a fake goatee and have a cigar and be like, yes, all you need. It's me. Nightburn.
The place starts to collapse because he blew it up and collapsed it on people. And so the team all starts running out. And as they're doing so, a boulder starts careening towards Dean, but Nightburn pushes Dean out of the way and gets smooshed by the boulder. Nightburn is like, I know you can do this. Don't disappoint me. And Dean is like, I won't let you down. You've always been my hero, and runs off. It's stupid.
Yeah.
The team heads back to Honeysday, and Duo is there to wait on us. They tell us that they've been recording us ever since we were on TV, and they broadcast our resolution to fight against the Varuni to the whole planet, and most humans hate us for stirring the pot now. We tell
this is probably fine.
This is okay. We tell Duo that Nightburn died, and they're like, oh shit, I'm gonna go check that out. But, by the way, if you're looking for Johnny Appleseed, take the train to 12-bit on the Western continent, and you'll come closer to your goal. But you didn't hear that from me. Meanwhile, Volsung and Faradun are talking, and they're discussing the fact that Avril is Johnny Appleseed, and that Duo just put her face on TV for everyone to see, and that's how they figured it out. Volsung tells Kartikeya to go and follow them, and Kartikeya says some Joker shit. Persephone walks in and says, hey, Nightburn died. We should, or he's assumed dead. We should organize a search and go find his body. And Volsung is like, nah, serves them fucking right, filthy human. No one can cross the gulf between a Varuni and human. Not Nightburn, not your sister, no one. Persephone is like, but what about you? And Volsung says definitively that Sam is stupid and thinks too hard, and that he is indeed the product of bridging the divide between the human and Varuni, and he's in constant suffering because of it. back in Honeysday, Dean talks to some of the villagers, and some of them are mad at him. Some of them are thankful for him, but most are just nervous as to what's going to happen next. Dean is like, "Don't worry, I'm not stopping now. I'm going to demolish the wall between the races. Next time on Have Gun Will Travel." That was it. That was the stupid bit that I Googled to make a stupid bit today. Cowboy
Good
radio
job.
shows. That's a very, very timely reference to make in all of these. Is cowboy radio shows. Not even cowboy television shows. Cowboy radio shows. Anyways, let's listen to some more awesome music and then talk about our memorable moments.
Dobbs made me think of, you remember those little blue guys from Lost Odyssey?
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's weird that there are these little blue guys. We're like 30 hours into the game, and now suddenly there's some little blue guys that are going to appear in 2 scenes.
Taking notes. Lost Odyssey has little blue men who appear 30 hours into the game.
Yep. So the gobs are a recurring thing from Wild Arms, but every other time they show up, it's like, oh, we are in this secluded frontier town, and there's a frontier town of these different people who are weird little gray guys, and they're over there, and we've been having a beef with them, and go and take them out. It's always existed in the world, and not just been like, oh, these are monsters, but they wear clothes and blacksmith their own weapons and all of these things, but they're monsters. Go set them on fire and drown them.
Yeah, it's a choice. It's one of those choices that I'm just looking at. I'm like, I just don't want to think too much more about this. I think I'm going to leave it where I am. For my memorable moments, my big one was the moment where Avril does the thing she's done in 2 different dungeons now, where she goes, "This place, I don't like it here. The vibes, they're rotten." But the way she specifically words it here is that it makes her uncomfortable. She feels uncomfortable here. She doesn't use the word rejected at first.
Yeah.
And it just made me feel very relatable, of just like, hey everybody, this place makes me uncomfortable. I wanted to let you know. And then everyone just goes, oh, Avril, oh no, should we leave? Should you go outside? And she's like, no, I don't want to be a bother. I'll bear with it. I'll just want to let you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, Avril, take care of yourself.
One bit I really loved is when you get to Honeysday, Carol the whole time is like, this place rules, their food is awesome, it's going to be so great, let's go get their food, like, we're getting really close, their food smells great, doesn't it smell wonderful? And Rebecca goes, no.
It's like, I don't smell anything.
I like when Dean orders some more fried noodles, and
Extra garlic.
And Lucille is like, hey, we need another order of fried noodles. And instead of walking over to the counter and getting them, the chef flings the fried noodles and she catches them on the old plate and with a spin.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
It was good.
Very good.
Good bit of animation. My only other memorable moment is I was gonna say not an update to the shipping chart, but checking back in with my shipping chart. But at this point, is it really a shipping chart if there's only 2 lines on the damn thing? But Chuck is back, and I still ship him and Dean, and I think that's infinitely more interesting than Dean with literally anyone else in this cast.
It's very true.
Dean is the only person that Chuck talks to.
He's like, No one likes me. And Dean's like, I like you. He goes, really?
That he jumps in to save D. Like there's a thing going. There's something going on in the sense that again, I have to ship them because there's literally no other possible connection to make with Chuck. Unless I was going to start doing rare pair crack ship stuff, but
Yeah.
that's for later.
I don't know what those words mean.
A rare pair is when you ship two characters, and it's
from rare games.
No, two characters that are rarely shipped together because there's not a lot of fuel for it in the series itself.
I don't think any of these characters are commonly shipped together because no one has played this video game.
Yeah, that's fair. Crack ships are ships where it's like if you just say the ship out loud, someone who has experienced the fandom will go, "What? No."
Yeah, like Twilight Sparkle and Mordecai.
I don't know what those words mean.
You're good. So to further hammer home that these are goblins, and that's why they're called gobs, all of the named goblins we run into are G Lin, O Lin, and B Lin. Glenn, Olin, and Blinn, which is G-O-B, Gob, Lin.
Yeah, I still didn't pick it up.
It's very silly.
I had a weird bug this week where the voice acting stopped. It stopped in battles on the field when I did searching. In cutscenes, the first time I noticed it was one of the times when Rebecca wrote in her diary and there wasn't voice acting for it. And I was like, that's weird. They've been doing fewer and fewer voice acted scenes as we go along, but that's weird. And then I realized I wasn't hearing them in battle either. So realizing what has happened, I run out of town to get in a random battle to see if I can to confirm that no one's saying anything, and the game freezes.
Oh,
weird.
So my best guess is that I had we are emulating this. I had been just using save states all along. I'd been saving too, but I'd just been loading my save state every time. So I guess the game thought it had been on for 17 hours and got sick.
Yeah, I mean, if save states are just dumping the RAM, and if you're having a memory leak, that would be in the save state. So that might be what it was.
Yeah, that's what I think happened.
Interesting.
So I reset the system and loaded a save, and the voice acting was back.
Yay!
Wild.
5. I forgot I did have one other thing. I asked mid recap about the bit where we get a flashback to Greg's son, and the only reason I brought it up is we get to hear voiced dialogue, which I'm realizing now Bernard might not have heard.
No, I heard that. Okay. And also I heard the whole voice scene with Nightburn.
Okay.
So
well, I bring it up only because I was like, oh, Mona Marshall. Because not Nightburn. Greg's son is played by Mona Marshall, aka Izzy from Digimon, aka
Carol from Wild Arms 5.
AKA oh god, what was the other one that comes to mind? The
Hideyoshi from Baka and Test.
Sure, I was gonna go with the character who's in Trigun for 2 episodes, the kid on the train.
I believe you.
Trigun's good, y'all. Anyway, go ahead. If you want some more Wild West shooty sort of media, but in an anime form, the original 90s Trigun, give it a try.
Yeah, Wild Arms 1 was literally, man, Trigun has some good ideas. Let's do that. And so then they made Wild Arms 1.
Incredible.
Speaking of Wild Arms 1, in this town that has nobody in it, You can find Mariel from Wild Arms 1. She was your mage in the first game. She's the flower picking girl in the town. You can find Jet from Wild Arms 3, which is my favorite Wild Arms character design. You can find Jude from Wild Arms 4. They're all in Honeysday. If you decide to do Jet's side quest and take his egg back to the guild, you can run into Virginia Maxwell from Wild Arms 3, my second favorite Wild Arms character design. And then at the train station, Brad from Wild Arms 2 is there, and Cannon is back. We saw her earlier in the game. And then that weird porn scene I didn't talk about in the Gob Shrine.
Oh God!
Yeah,
I forgot about that. I burned it out of my memory.
The girl on the front of the porno is Yuli from Wild Arms 4. So
what?
Yeah.
Why?
It's fun. I also didn't notice this about the cameos until this episode, but the characters are confirmed to be the cameos instead of me just looking up a list of all of them so I can find them. But they're all of their descriptions, like Bowtie Boy, etc., are there like official subtitles in the Art of Wild Arms in the art book. So the way that like Arcanine is the legendary Pokemon, it'll be like Virginia Maxwell. Drifter in training or whatever it says, which means that the most interesting thing that the Art of Wild Arms could think of to call the main character of Wild Arms 4 is Bowtie Boy.
I saw that guy I talked to that guy who was like, hey, I have this fragile thing. I need you to take it to Lila Bell. And I was like, fuck you. And he was like, I'm not going to be here much longer. You got to do the side quest now. And I was like, I don't got to do it at all.
Yeah, I did not do it. The Let's Play did it because it's a completionist Let's Play. And I'm like, oh, hey, it's Virginia. And I'm okay with knowing that I will never see her in game.
Yeah, no, I didn't do it either. You joking? No.
So apparently that side quest is even stupider than, oh, hey, you have to run across 2 continents. You have to run across 2 continents, never attack or get attacked in a random battle the whole way there, which is stupid. And if you fuck up, you can go back to Jet and get another egg, but it counts how many failures you have, and if you get the more failures you have, the worse results you get. So if you don't reload your save and instead you go back to just try again, you won't get shit by the time you eventually make it.
Horrible.
It's stupid. Speaking of stupid, the save bird in Honeysday says, well now, you're one handsome-looking fellow. You here to take a dip with me into the sea of lust? Oh, you're just here to save? And goes back to sleep.
Those birds are weird.
They're so fucking weird. They're all like a microscopic Monokuma theater every single time.
Yes, sort of, yes.
A little bit, yeah.
Except Monokuma Theater, I don't know. I can sort of understand them.
Yeah. It at least is, hey, this is a psychotic character that's full of themselves that are doing these things, and not your save points can talk. What if they were all little freaks?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, anything to say about this week's section?
I'm good. I think that's everything.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So that'll do it for the week. If you like what you heard, you can head on over to www.rpgbook.club, where any and all donations help us cover the cost of running the show and making it better and better. If you set up a recurring monthly donation, you also get some additional benefits. If you donate $1 or more a month, you can get access to our bonus feed, where this week we are pushing on through Tales of Fantasia, and an interesting inter-character developmental moment has happened, finally. And
fucking anything at all has happened.
Surprisingly, with how little has happened in this game, it's like 80 times better than Tales of Fantasia.
Things happening in my video game? It's more likely than you think.
You also will get access to our polls to decide what game we play next on the main feed. If you donate $5 or more a month, we'll also shout out your name at the end of every episode, just like this. Shoutouts to Cerebral Wind, It's Claire Time, Frosthair, Dragon Slayer 19, Floris, Kildron, Freddy Rodriguez, Aaron524, and Jfro Prime. And then finally, if you love us so much you donate $20 or more a month, you can also make me say a sentence of your choosing to either plug something or just to make me say something weird. So shoutouts to El Tantavi, who wants you to check out critical-distance.com, an aggregator for games criticism and journalism. Shout out to Vimk, who wants you to play Legend of Legaia for the PS1. I'm running out of ways to ask it, so please do it so that I can be free. And then shoutouts to Carr, who's a dentist, so he isn't plugging a website, but rather your own mouth, and he says to brush your teeth twice a day, most importantly, the time before you go to bed. For RPG Book Club, I have been Sam Allman.
I'm Bernard.
And I'm Trish.
Toodaloo, folks.
Bye.